Good afternoon, and thank you all for being here. I'm Alex Conyers, president at South Carolina State University, and I'm joined today by our SGA president, Ms. Cephas.
Hello, everyone.
Hello. All right, so, President Conyers, what can you tell us happened, just describe what happened earlier?
I'm sorry, can you repeat that?
Yeah, just describe what happened on campus earlier.
Sure. So earlier this morning, an employee spotted a gentleman on campus with a weapon. She did exactly what we've asked all of our employees and students to do. If you see something, say something. She alerted campus police. Campus police immediately issued a rave alert, which placed the university on lockdown for students, faculty, staff, visitors. At that time, we began our investigation into exactly what was happening. And I'm pleased to say today that everything worked out exactly like it should have. The employee saw something, she said something, we locked the university down. We immediately made contact with our partners, that's the Orangeburg Sheriff's Department as well as the City of Orangeburg Department of Public Safety. They responded to campus, and then after further investigation, we were able to ascertain that the weapon was a fake wooden weapon used by our ROTC department here. So it was a dummy weapon. Nonetheless, I certainly understand the employee concern, because at that point, she certainly did not know it was a fake weapon, and we certainly did not lift this lockdown until we were sure that there was no threat to the university or its stakeholders here.
How long did the lockdown last?
The lockdown lasted from about 10:45 until a little bit after 1, when we were able to determine that, one, we were able to find the person with the weapon, retrieve the weapon, and at that point we lifted the lockdown.
How would you describe what this weapon is? Is it like a wooden rifle? Or?
It is. It's a wooden rifle. Costs about $50. Every ROTC department in the country uses these for their drill teams. The Citadel, West Point, this is a very common training aid at any ROTC department. However, for the non-military person to see this, they would certainly think that it's a real weapon. I certainly understand that.
Was this individual with the wooden rifle operating outside of their normal bounds, or taking it somewhere they shouldn't have, or is this just purely somebody saw something?
Someone saw something. The ROTC department was aware that the student had the weapon. They train all the time for ceremonies, for competitions. So it's a constant training with these replicas with our cadets.
So the presence of the rifle in that location was not outside the norm necessarily?
To that employee, it was. Right, to that employee, it was, but had it been in the immediate ROTC area, possibly not. But to that employee, it certainly was out of the norm, which is why the employee made the phone call to campus police.
Any ramifications for that ROTC individual, or was this just a unfortunate circumstance?
Just an unfortunate circumstance. But what I would like to say is that, many of you have covered the installations of our new cameras on campus. We recently installed about 200 new cameras, and these cameras worked exactly like we thought they would. We were able to go in and put in parameters, time of location, male, female, type of clothing, location, and we were able to look at the camera system immediately. Once we were able to triangulate, find the person, was able to see the outline of the weapon, and being a former military person, I immediately thought that it was perhaps a fake weapon. We then sent that picture to the ROTC department. The ROTC department was able to determine it was one of their cadets with a weapon he was authorized to have, a fake weapon that he was authorized to have.
And are they allowed to carry fake weapons?
Yes. Yes. No rules were broken.
Any concern that this has a chilling effect on future reports?
I don't think so. I certainly hope not. I would encourage all employees and students, if they see something that appears to be out of the norm, to call and allow law enforcement to determine whether or not it's a real threat. I don't want any employee or students trying to make that determination.
Like you mentioned, see something, say something. So that goes to show how this system works.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Very proud of our employee this morning, very proud of our students and our leaders who understand the nature of the environment that we live in today, given all of the gun violence throughout the country, given the deaths of the 4 students at the University of Idaho, this past month. So certainly we had great cause to be concerned. And back to your question, as you know, South Carolina State University has one of the greatest ROTC programs in the world. With 23 different general officers. I'm hoping that young cadet will learn his lessons and realize that he made a mistake, that he probably should not have been carrying a weapon the way that he was, and hopefully one day become a general officer from South Carolina State University. If you know anything about Colin Powell, his greatest lesson on leadership talks about when he was 21 years old, he lost his weapon in combat, which could have derailed his career, but instead he had a commander with empathy that found a weapon, gave it back to him, and said, don't let this happen again. So I hope that this cadet will learn the exact same thing and be our next Colin Powell.
And in this situation, was this weapon or the fake weapon, as you mentioned, was it visible or was it?
Yes, it was visible. So when I saw it, I immediately thought that if it was a real threat for me, because I'm a law enforcement officer with 28 years, did not think that a person who was really presenting a threat would have handled the weapon the way that he did. But when I saw him twirl the weapon just like a drill and ceremony soldier would do, is when I had a feeling. But again, we don't operate on feelings. We had to find the cadet. We had to find a weapon. We had to take possession of it, and then we issued the notice to lift the lockdown.
So it wasn't in a bag, but if he was twirling, he had it in his hands.
Right.
Yeah, not to belabor the point, but you said he was handling it in a way that could be misinterpreted. Was he?
No, not at all. Not at all. He was not handling it in any threatening way. This was never a report of an active shooter. It was never any. It was just that someone saw a person with the weapon, but he did not point it at anyone. Nothing like that. Never an allegation of a active shooter.
And what law enforcement agencies were on scene today?
We had Orangeburg County, the city of Orangeburg, SLED, and we had the FBI on standby. Ms. Cephas?
ZYAH, Zaya, and then Cephas, CEPHUS.
And you're the SDA?
Yes, I am.
All right, so just talk about the students' reaction, from the students' perspective on this issue.
Okay. Yeah, the students were really just open and mindful. I think the information that was given to us in a really good time period. So we were just kind of waiting for an all clear.
And as a student yourself, just talk about what went through your mind when you first heard of it. When the system went out, I'm sure, Texas and what have you went out.
So we use the Rave Alert app. So that's just kind of our new way. We get a text on our phone whenever anything like this happens. It's kind of a way to make sure that everybody's in the loop about any safety or issues on campus. So we all got a text. Anyone who has the Rave app, which is all students, we all got a text immediately that we're on lockdown. So we're just kind of, okay, everybody, let's wait and let's make sure. I think it's sad to say, but Gen Z, we're used to things like this. We are used to active violence and shooter drills and all of that. So we were just kind of waiting.
I'm sure there's a lot of concern also from your parents as far as how you were doing, what's going on.
Yeah, so I'm from San Diego, so I just had to keep texting my mom and make sure she was fine. She knows that I'm at a HBCU, I'm home, so we're good.
Was there any moment where you were concerned seeing police around? Or did you feel like because you had access to the app that you were pretty much?
Yeah, so usually if we didn't have the app, I would have been scared, but having access to the app I really recommend the Rave app. Having access to that really eased everyone's mind, and we're all in a student group chat called GroupMe, so everyone's just texting, making sure everybody's okay in the GroupMe, so.
So it's unfortunate that, it had to be for a situation like this, but it goes to show how great these apps are, especially for you.
Okay, yeah, no, seriously, I think GroupMe and Rave and all of those apps, I think it's like 580 people in the GroupMe. So, but close to a good portion of the student body is in there just texting back and forth and communicating. So we're making sure we're a HBCU, so we're a family. We make sure everybody in our family is okay.
And was your class schedule affected in any way by that?
No, I'm actually done with my finals, so I'm ready to go home.
So I would just like to add that, again, technology helped us to be where we are now, because had we not had this technology, at some point, a university without this technology would have to still lift the lockdown without knowing for sure whether the threat has totally been negated. So again, I want to thank our great alumni from South Carolina State University who last year, through their generous giving, allowed us to invest more into the safety and security for this campus.
And were classes in session today, and did that affect classes?
Well, most classes are, well, all classes are over. There are some students who are taking finals. So the last day of class was last week. There are students who are taking finals, and like any institution that goes on lockdown, I'm sure there were some inconveniences, but we will certainly ensure that students and faculty are allowed to make those things up.
Any other questions? All right, thank y'all so much.
Thank you very much.